Imagine if changing your life didn't require years of struggle. Imagine if a single shift in the way you think and feel could begin rearranging the events of your life. According to the teachings of Neville Goddard, that shift can happen in a single moment. Neville once said, "Change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live." This idea may sound unbelievable at first, but what if your outer world is simply a reflection of your inner state? What if the circumstances around you are not random, but the result of the beliefs and assumptions you hold about yourself? In this video, we're going to explore the manifestation techniques taught by Neville Goddard. You'll learn the law of assumption, the power of feeling, the 11-second manifestation technique, the ersatz method, revision, living in the end, and how these simple mental practices can begin shifting your reality. Neville Goddard was a spiritual teacher and lecturer who became widely known in the mid-20th century. His teachings centered around one powerful idea: your imagination creates reality. According to Neville, the world we experience externally is simply a projection of our internal state. Every belief you hold about yourself, every assumption you make about life, every emotion you repeatedly feel, all of these become the blueprint for the events you experience. In other words, life reflects what you believe to be true, not what you hope for, not what you wish for, but what you assume to be real. This principle is known as the law of assumption. The law of assumption is simple. Whatever you assume to be true eventually becomes your reality. Think about it. If someone assumes they are unlucky, they notice every negative event. They expect things to go wrong, and over time, life seems to confirm their belief. But if someone assumes they are successful, they approach opportunities with confidence. They notice possibilities instead of obstacles, and their actions begin producing different outcomes. Neville taught that the key to manifestation is not forcing the outer world to change. The key is changing your internal state. Because once the inner state changes, the outer world must eventually reflect it. One of Neville Goddard's most famous teachings is this: feeling is the secret. Thoughts alone are not enough to create change. You can repeat affirmations all day long, but if you don't feel them to be true, your subconscious mind will reject them. However, when a thought is combined with emotion, it becomes powerful. Emotion is what impresses ideas onto the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is what influences your behaviors, decisions, and perceptions. That's why manifestation is less about repeating words and more about entering the emotional state of the wish fulfilled. In simple terms, you must feel as though your desire is already real. There's a simple manifestation exercise based on this idea. It only takes a few seconds. First, close your eyes. Take a slow, deep breath. Then think of one thing you want to experience in your life. Maybe it's financial freedom. Maybe it's a message from someone you care about. Maybe it's confidence or peace. Now imagine that it has already happened. Not that it's coming in the future, but that it has already occurred. Picture the moment after receiving what you wanted. Feel the relief. Feel the gratitude. Feel the joy. Hold that emotional state for about 10 seconds, just 10 seconds of fully believing that it is already done. According to Neville, this moment of belief can impress a new assumption onto your subconscious mind, and once that assumption takes root, your external reality begins to rearrange itself. One of Neville Goddard's most powerful manifestation techniques is called SATS. SATS stands for state akin to sleep. This is the state your mind enters right before you fall asleep. In this relaxed state, your subconscious mind becomes more receptive to suggestions. Neville recommended using this moment every night. Here's how it works. Lie down in bed and relax your body. Allow yourself to become calm and sleepy. Then imagine a short scene that implies your desire has already been fulfilled. For example, if you want financial success, imagine a friend congratulating you. If you want a relationship, Imagine holding hands with your partner. If you want a new job, imagine receiving a congratulatory message. Keep the scene simple. Replay it in your mind over and over until it feels natural. Then fall asleep while holding that feeling. According to Neville, this is one of the most powerful ways to program the subconscious mind. Another key principle in Neville's teachings is called living in the end. This means mentally living as the version of yourself who already has your desire. Instead of asking, "How will this happen?" you begin asking, "How would I feel if it already happened?" You adopt the mindset of the future version of you. For example, a wealthy person thinks differently than someone struggling financially. A confident person carries themselves differently than someone insecure. A person in a loving relationship behaves differently than someone feeling lonely. When you begin thinking and feeling from the end result, your identity starts shifting. And when your identity changes, your choices change, your habits change, your opportunities change, and eventually your results change. Neville also taught a fascinating method called revision. Revision means mentally rewriting past events. If something negative happened during your day, instead of replaying it as it occurred, you imagine it happening the way you wish it had happened. For example, if you had a difficult conversation, you imagine it ending positively. If you made a mistake, you imagine yourself handling it perfectly. Why does this matter? Because the subconscious mind does not strongly distinguish between real experiences and vividly imagined ones. By revising the past, you change the emotional meaning attached to it, and this prevents negative experiences from shaping your future assumptions. Even though manifestation sounds mystical, there are psychological reasons why these techniques can be effective. Visualization strengthens neural pathways in the brain. Belief influences decision-making. Emotion influences motivation. When you repeatedly imagine success, you naturally start behaving in ways that align with that identity. You notice opportunities you previously ignored. You take actions that feel natural instead of forced. Over time, these subtle shifts can produce major changes in your life. So if you take one idea away from this video, let it be this. Your imagination is more powerful than you think. Your assumptions shape your experiences, and the version of yourself you believe you are eventually becomes the life you live. Try one of these techniques tonight. Close your eyes. Imagine your desire as already fulfilled. Feel the relief. Feel the gratitude. Hold that feeling for just a few seconds and then watch what begins to change. Because sometimes the biggest transformation in your life begins with a single shift in the way you think. If you enjoyed this video and want more content about manifestation, mindset, and reality creation, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next video might completely change the way you see your life.